Double drawing, now a completely legal move.
Face me. Give in to your pride.
Happening plebs, so we finally got our very first duel of the new series, Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. Let's just jump straight into the summary. Last week we were left with the Knights of Hanoi hunting down the fabled AI Ignis. Playmaker takes Ignis hostage in order to keep it safe from the evil aims of the Knights of Hanoi, and of course, well, the only way to settle this would be in a duel on hoverboards. So the Playmaker and the Knights of Hanoi get up on their board and, well, they catch the wind, conducting what is known as a speed duel. In a speed duel, you can only control 3 main monster zones and 3 back row. It's basically just duel links, and you also start with 4,000 life. So the Knight of Hanoi ends his turn with opening a Cracking Dragon. A Cracking Dragon's effect is basically that it burns your opponent for their monster summoned times by 200 of the level, and then reduces the level as well. And it also has 3,000 attack, and well, it basically beats over everything, and it's got 0 defense as well. So for Playmaker's opening hand, I don't know what any of these cards are, but I mean, it looks like a brick, at least in terms of 2017, so he sets 2 and passes with a Cyberse Magician. Now during the duel, Ignis reveals to us that in a speed duel, not only do you have to focus on the duel, but you have to make sure that you don't fall off your hoverboard riding around in the sky. In fact, if you fall or damage yourself in the Cyberse, you can actually affect your real physical body as well, not just your digital sort of avatar. And so we also find out that we have things called skills in speed duels. They're basically perks if you're familiar with Call of Duty. Now a skill lets you do things like draw twice instead of once, and you can gain life, you can gain attack, and there's all these sort of random buffs you can use in the middle of a duel. It's actually a pretty cool idea. It's something that I've genuinely thought about seriously for Yu-Gi-Oh! And well, I mean, that's a topic for another video. So the Knight's ability, or his skill, is double draw. Now he does a bunch of burn damage, and well, Playmaker is then forced to avoid an upcoming data storm. So other than obviously dealing with the duel itself, an actual genuine twister is destroying buildings in the background. So the Blue Angel Girl saves him by giving him her hoverboard, and well, he has to deal with another attack. This time it would be fatal. But Playmaker activates the card 3-Strike Barrier, which is basically Wabaku, so he's safer now. Now remember what we said about skills? And Playmaker also has a skill too, and his isn't to double draw, his is Storm Access. So Storm Access lets you access the Data Storm, the big giant twister in the background, and you get to stick your hand in, and you get to pull out a random card if your life is below 1,000. So during this epic struggle with the storm, we are introduced to his, I guess, favorite catchphrase, because he likes listing things. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So these 3 things are reclaim my lost time. So obviously he's trying to, like, well, they are trying to, like, set us up with some plot points for the future. And number 2, he's trying to rescue his friend Kusanagi's brother from quote-unquote the darkness. So more on that later, I guess. That's a bit more of a speculation for the future. Basically, I think that maybe just could be something like where he's like, remember like Mokuba in the first season where he's like locked in a card? Well, I think maybe the darkness is like he's locked away somewhere in the Cyberse, perhaps, is what this could be. Who knows? That's just my personal speculation. And then number 3, meet the person who gave me courage. Don't really know what this is alluding to. It could literally be anyone. It could, I don't know, family, like a duelist that he learned from in the past, or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? There are lots of speculation here that's they've set up for the future episodes. So he pulls out the monster, and he continues his plays. His opponent activates Pulse Bomb, and that means he's basically just going to take a lot of damage this turn, and his monsters get put to defense. But Playmaker stops this with a trap, stops the trap Pulse Bomb with a Cyber spell card. Now the Cyber spell card, I didn't quite catch the name because the subtitles were a bit weird, but it basically stops the burn damage for the turn. So Playmaker now has 3 monsters on the field: Cyberse Magician, Secretary, and Stack Reviver, I think it was called. And then we finally see, of course, the boss monster and the poster of VRAINS, the actual hype of the whole anime itself, DECODE Talker. Now DECODE Talker doesn't have a level, and he can't be put to defense because obviously it's a link monster and it does piercing damage. So he does piercing damage and destroys his opponent's Cracking Dragon for a game. By the way, visually, when he destroyed his Cracking Dragon, it genuinely looked beautiful. It was great, like animation and stuff. It really, really looked good. That was pretty much the whole episode. It was just this entire duel sequence. We didn't actually get much set up for the future. I mean, obviously they had the previews, but in terms of the actual duel itself, it pretty much just ends off with the victory. So now, as for my personal thoughts, I thought it was really intense and it was super fast paced, like maybe a bit too fast, which I think is kind of the theme they're going for with all these episodes, because there's just so much like information all the time. There's just stuff's happening, this is happening, that's happening, and you just have to constantly keep up. And I guess maybe that's like the theme and stuff they're trying to go with. And like I said, the animations are really good. Destroying Cracking Dragon looked amazing, and yeah, the animation generally was like really good. It's definitely like way more consistent than, you know, other animes that have had problems with consistency. So now for the plot, so the full episode is a duel, so obviously there's not going to be too much plot there. There was one point where, you know, like I said earlier, when Playmaker's accessing the storm to like pick out DECODE TALKER, randomly of course, and he lists like those 3 reasons, and you know, I gave a little bit of speculation already, but I was like, okay, you know, he's struggling to access this data storm, and here's this random monologue about all the hardships in my life. It was so forced. He just like, he goes, I know we're dueling just now, but these are the 3 things I need to do, and I need to win this duel because I need to do these 3 things. So it was just, I just thought it was genuinely terrible storytelling. They didn't have to throw out so much plot. There was like 3 main like plot points just completely spun off like different train of thoughts, like nothing to do with the duel, wasn't relevant to anything at the time. It was just, these 3 major things in my life are going to happen, and I need to like, you know, deal with them. And it was just, that was all just thrown out in like the space of like 30 seconds. I get that they're trying to start the show off with a lot of hype and just, you know, a lot of intensity, but that was just so rushed and forced. Like we don't need to know what happens like straight away. I mean, that's the whole, you know, slow progression. And I just think they could have like delivered this point a little bit better. Like they could have just told us one point, like, I need to win this duel to save Kusanagi's brother. Like that would have been a good starting point, because, you know, okay, right, well, this is all right, that's a plot point for the future. But they just like they just head out with like, I need to save his brother, and I need to find the person who gave me courage, and I need to make up for lost time. Just these really cryptic random things that just were just shoved into this like one little sentence. And as for the hoverboards, I mean, like it's cool, and like it looks great and stuff with the animation, but really my biggest question with it is like, what's the point? Like, like why are they floating around on hoverboards? It doesn't add anything to the story. It doesn't add anything to the duel. Like there's nothing mechanically that gets, you know, put into the duel other than like, if I accidentally fly into this building, it doesn't matter if I've got, you know, Dryden, Emerald, 3 back row, and Maxi in hand. If I get run over by a train, then, well, I'm gonna lose the duel anyway. Like, what does that have to do with the duel? Like, I don't understand why they're relevant to each other. Why are they floating around on hoverboards? Now, I did think the skill access thing was very cool. I thought that was generally really good. I love the idea of perks, and the storm access, I guess, kind of makes sense for why they're moving around and stuff so much. And I get it was quite cool. More onto the duel itself, I enjoyed like obviously seeing the Link summon. I really like the synergy with DECODE TALKER and its materials. The Stack Reviver bringing back Cyberse Magician was a really good play and stuff, and it was really cool to see like just how much synergy these cards had with each other and how they link summoned with one another. That was obviously really good. You know, and the idea that Cracking Dragon couldn't put anything to defense and stuff because they're link monsters was obviously like really cool to see. So obviously Playmaker's plays and his cards and his deck was really good. Like it was really cool to watch. But as for Cracking Dragon, I think it was really disappointing. I think the whole burn damage and level and attack reduction thing is just a really outdated mechanic. It is so outdated. Like they could have introduced something a little bit more unique and different with the whole digital thing and the unique thing of like link summoning and stuff. And this guy just like it just wasn't exciting at all. It was literally like a new age, fresh, brand new deck versus tribute summon burn. Like that's really what he was playing against. Like that's not interesting. That's not entertaining. It's like walking into locals and seeing someone playing like ABC versus fucking goat control. You know, it's like there's just, where's the competition there? Or like they're just completely different generations. And yeah, like obviously the highlight of the episode was seeing Decode Talker get summoned, so that was obviously really amazing. That was episode of VRAINS number 2. Thanks everyone for watching. If you've watched this far, hashtag decode in the discussion. If you have watched this far, hashtag decode, and let me know your thoughts and stuff if you watched this episode. I'd be curious to know what you think about it. VRAINS episode 2. Thanks for watching everyone, and see you next time.
Face me. Give in to your pride.